Welcome to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. I'm your host, Luke Darnell. This week's guest really needs no introduction. He's won KCBS Team of the Year, the American Royal, the King of the Smoker, and just about everything else. In 2019, he opened Porky Butts BBQ in Omaha. Mr. Porky Butts himself, Blane Hunter. This is pure fun from end to end, so please join me in welcoming Blane. So we're here with the King of Nebraska barbecue. What's up,
King?
Porky Butts?
The King of Nebraska barbecue.
That's right.
There's only like 6 of us, so that's a great title.
Somebody's got to be at the top, buddy.
Yeah.
So we're here with Blane Hunter, back in the competition mix. If you didn't see this weekend, you could have seen all of Blane Hunter on the National Barbecue League video. Good time.
That was a fun time. Rolling out shirtless and live on National Barbecue League.
That's how they keep their members. You got to keep them happy.
I know. Big sexy.
First question I want to ask you is, because you have such a really diverse past, and that you're a trained chef, and you've done a lot in the food world prior to being a pit master. What can you take away from your chef training that's really helped you with competition barbecue?
I think the biggest thing in competition barbecue that I took from the culinary side is the attention to detail. I mean, in culinary, you want to basically get set up and you get your mise en place, and then just attention to detail, how you finish everything, how you're, every little step from trimming to creating all your sauces and everything, but just paying attention to detail. I think that's the biggest thing I got from the culinary side.
Yeah. And that's really cool that you said that. I've been doing this thing with high school kids every Wednesday, and they come in. They are one of the things that I teach them, like about how competition barbecue, what I've learned, how I apply it to different parts of my life. And the mise en place is the thing that I like. Have all your shit right there so you don't have to look for it, and you're going to do a better job at whatever you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, because on a Saturday night in a restaurant, if you don't have your line set up and you're prepped and ready to go, and everything worked out in your details on basically in competition barbecue, how you're going to cook it, how you're going to cut it, how you're going to get it in the box. If you don't have that all prepared and pre-planned, you're gonna fail just like you would on a Saturday night in a restaurant.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you remember the first time we met?
I don't know. All the times we've come together, they all blend together.
We met in Cumming, Georgia during your Team of the Year run.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that, actually.
You needed to finish, I think you needed to finish second in the ribs that day. Was it day 2? I think you needed to finish second to win the rib jacket or something.
Correct.
And I won rib. We both won 80, I think, but I ended up winning the coin toss.
You're supposed to say no big deal after that, by the way.
No big deal. But yeah, and then we went to the banquet when you got your KCBS Team of the Year thing, and that was the year Kim and I think, came out dressed as Run DMC or something. I don't know. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. Yeah, that was that's when we went. Did you go dancing with us afterwards at the?
Oh yeah,
Do you remember that?
I do.
I literally passed that turnoff this weekend going through Georgia, and I was like, the bar is right there. We should go and get our dance on again.
That's right. We went to that bar in Atlanta, and we made that band play all this shit, and we danced. Yeah, that was
It was you and I and Timmy.
And my friend Sean was there, and I remember he pulled me outside, and he's like, "Hey, man, do you think we should be here?" And I'm like, "There's no other place we should be."
Oh, we fit in so well. It was so much fun.
That's right. And we had 2 guys that were Rib Kings wearing their Rib King jackets out.
Yeah. There's a picture of me next to Tim. I have my Porky Butts hat on backwards, my Rib Team of the Year, and I have my boots tucked into my pants tucked into my boots. And I think I may have had too many libations.
I think we all did. That was a great night.
That was actually a fun banquet.
Yeah, that was the good old days.
Yeah, when it went so serious.
We like to talk about successes, winning Team of the Year. You've won the Team of the Year, you won the Royal, the King of the Smoker. But one of the things that I like to talk about are failures. and things like
Oh,
where
oh, oh.
something's gone really wrong and you learned something from that experience. And do you have a favorite failure of yours during
Man, there's so many. I'd have to. I'm the king of the 139 doll ribs.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
And
that.
that was like 8 contests into after winning team of the year for ribs. I went from number 1 to last place in a 25 team contest in the middle of Oklahoma.
What did you take away from that?
Yeah, don't turn in good ribs. Yeah, it just humbles you a little bit, man. Because I wanted to go. I'm just steaming, want to go out of my boxes, and I'm just mad at the world, want to blame everybody but myself. But I had my son with me, and it was a weekend that, it was one of the first weekends him and I got away, and I just looked back at him and I was just mad. And he said, did you have a good time? My son, this is my son saying this. He said, did you have a good time? And I said, yeah, bud. And he said, that's all that matters. And at that point, I didn't give a shit. I just kept driving and never talked about it again. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it was definitely a humbling moment. It lets you know that, you might think you're the Rib King, but you're just another team out there competing, and each week is a new game.
Yeah, but that's a good point that you make, though. But like you told me a story earlier today that I thought was interesting in terms of your ribs last weekend at Sip and Swine. And this builds on something that Tim said in the last episode, how he doesn't give up until the last second. There's always things that you can do.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, you mind sharing that story? That was a good one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We got the ribs off this weekend. They looked decent. I mean, they were a little ugly on top. They had good moisture. Everything I thought was good, and then I bit into them, and there was just an off taste. And I looked at the gentleman cooking with me, and I said, "Do you taste that?" And he immediately said, "Yes." And we could not get our heads around it. So immediately I started like almost rinsing the ribs, thinking it was something sitting on the surface, which took about every ounce of rub and bark I set up on this thing. And I just got this pale, homely looking ribs in there. And then I re-seasoned them, and then I put them in sauce and tried setting sauce again, and it still was there. So then I dipped them in sauce again, and I put a finishing dust on the top and bottom. And then I finally, at the end, I couldn't get the flavor off of them. I just literally took my chicken sauce, which is a real thick, sugary sauce, and dipped them in that, put finishing powder, and we got 10th place in ribs. So, yeah, I mean, absolutely, just don't give up. I mean, I've known people that have been into their brisket and panicked and said it has no flavor, but there's always something you can do, and you just got to keep pressing and try and figure it out. And sometimes, you can. I mean, I've had pork so overcooked that I put it in my cooler to let it cool down before I turned it in, just because maybe it'd hold together. Because cold pork that's turned in is better than pork falling apart.
Yeah, and I think that's an important lesson for people who are just starting out, because you can get flustered, and if you've not cooked a 180 contest, then you might not know exactly what to do, and a lot of that's just the repetition.
Yeah, it's just dealing with adversity, because adversity is going to come up in barbecue. It's going to come up in the restaurant. It's going to come up in life, and it's how you deal with it. I mean, you just got to fight through it and do the best you can. And sometimes you get lucky and get 10th place ribs.
You've mentioned restaurants a couple of times, and you started. I want to say you opened in 2019, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
August of 2019.
and you basically took that year off from competition to get ready to do the restaurant.
I did, yes. I competed one time in 2019, so took it off and got the restaurant going. I even skipped the Royal in 19, which was very painful. But yeah, no, the restaurant's been fun. So there's a lot of challenges there. Every day is a different day, but I've loved every minute of it.
That's right. You did miss that Royal because I took your portage-on that you'd already
That
paid.
is true. Yeah, you called me asking for porta john. You called me asking for porta john, and someone else called me asking if they could park there.
Hey, I'm going to take this portage-on. Is that all right? Yeah, fine.
Yeah, that was my $1,000 porta john.
It was much
spent on that spot.
It was much appreciated. I mean, I have a whole portage-on protocol. Like I get the fancy toilet paper. I put a little end table in there, light, and maybe a Playboy. It's just fun.
There you go.
People go in there and they're like, "What is this?" I'm like, It's bathroom. It's supposed to be nice.
Yeah, I usually rip the door off, and that way everybody can experience what I experience.
I think it's one of the more known things about you is that you're quite the exhibitionist.
Yeah. If anybody's ever cooked with me knows that I usually poop in my trailer with the door open. Ask Karen Murphy from Dirt Road Barbecue.
Oh no.
Have you ever heard that story?
No, I haven't.
So I'm cooking. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, early morning, and I'm in there doing my business, and I'm cooking alone. So I'm sitting there taking care of number two, scrolling on my phone, and I hear a knock on the back door. And David been coming, or McAllister's been coming over and talking to me. So I just assumed it was him, and I say, "Come in." And the door opens up, and I'm sitting there with no clothes on my toilet. And here comes Karen Murphy from Dirt Road Barbecue, and all I heard her say is, "Oh my God!" And then she walks out and asks if she could borrow some sweet money.
Gotta get what you need.
The best part about it, she went back to Murphy. She said, "I will never go in his trailer again."
Oh my God, that's great. I'm surprised I've never heard that one. No.
Oh yeah, there ain't too many people that heard that one. I don't think she shared it with too many people, but every time I get a chance, I share it.
We're gonna have to have her on. Kim's been interviewing teammates, Kim and Leanne, so we might
Yeah.
have to put them on, and I'll have to put that in the notes.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'd like to hear that response. She's probably still seeing counseling. Cheney, Kansas. It was
Cheney, Kansas. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down right now. What's the most surprising thing that's come out of competition barbecue for you?
Getting into competition barbecue, I knew it was going to be fun, and we're going to, hang out with my friends. But I didn't realize that I'd run into and meet like a new family. I mean, the people I've met in competition barbecue have been just, yourself and Darren, and just met so many lifelong friends that I think they're, never, competition barbecue might go away, but I don't think they'll ever go away. And I think that was a surprising thing. I knew I was going to go with my friends that I already knew, but I didn't know I'd meet so many great new family members that I love hanging out with. And that's probably half the addiction of going to competition barbecue is just going to see people.
I think it's, more and more it becomes 100% of the driving force. And I think in 2019, the one contest you cooked was Valley, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And that was, Kim and I were like, we need to go out there and cook that. And that was, that was one of the better trips we've ever had, was going out there and cooking that contest. And we really just went there because all of our friends were there. That was the reason we went, It was a great time.
And you realize Valley's an amazing time.
It really is a fantastic little place.
It's a great contest. I look forward to it every year. This year it's Memorial Week and they changed it.
I know. I saw that. We're trying to figure that out right now because we really want.
I just picked up a new enclosed Jambo. It's got your name written all over it.
I'm just waiting to buy it when it comes down in price.
Yeah, it probably, after walking in and out of that enclosed trailer this weekend 100 times, it might be on the market soon.
Let's switch gears a little bit and talk about some investments and stuff, because barbecue's not cheap, and we spend a lot of money on a lot of different things. What's one of the best or most worthwhile investments that you've ever made in competition barbecue?
The best, hands down, the Jambo. For years I cooked on all kinds of different pits, and I didn't realize how easy it was until I got the Jambo. That pit is it's a smooth running, even cooking. I love it. It was the best investment I made in barbecue.
Like you, I went through a bunch of different things, and I'll never cook on anything else, I don't think.
No, everyone says, there's all the knockoffs nowadays, and of course the drum guys, but I just enjoy eating the food that comes off a Jambo, and it's so much fun to operate, and you actually get to build a fire and watch the flame burn, and I love it.
Hey, look at that. I saw you back there. Hi.
She had her big concert tonight.
Yeah, was it good?
Yeah, she did a great job. And of course the kids were up there in their masks, so it was kind of hard to hear them what they're singing, and they had us all spread out throughout a gym. So but yeah, it was just nice to see. It was the first time the kids got together and performed anything for,
Yeah.
in music or theater in a year. So it was nice to actually see him get to sing. Her school's been fortunate. They haven't had a teacher or a student K through 12 in the last month
Oh,
come
wow.
down with COVID. So yeah,
That's great.
they've done an excellent job.
For those of you listening, we're talking about Blaine's daughter, Helena, my dancing buddy.
It's your dancing buddy.
Hello. She came to a double once in Chicago, and I was so tired just from dancing.
Yeah. 2 knee surgeries later.
Right. Before I learned how to floss.
Yeah, that's right.
I can still crack that out whenever it's necessary.
No big deal.
No big deal at all. So Jambos are expensive, right? Do you have something that you paid $100 or less for that's really impacted your barbecue life?
You know what? I mean, this weekend I was packing to go into Georgia, and Eric's helping me get ready for it. And there's a tool I take to every contest, and I use in a lot of my boxing. And when people see it, they just absolutely laugh. And it cost me $2. It's a 8-inch spackle knife, like you spackle your wall with.
Yeah.
But I always lift everything off the cutting board and I slide it off the knife, and it's a spatula that just fits right down in, and I can just get stuff tight off the cutting board. And I love it. I use it all the time for picking my brisket up. I use it for picking my money muscles up.
Huh.
I can pick chicken up with it. I'm probably the only guy in barbecue that uses one, but I love using it, and I spent a solid $2 on it, and I got one in all my toolboxes for barbecue.
Did it make it to Georgia?
It did. Well, actually, here funny thing is, it didn't make it to Georgia because it was in my trailer, and I forgot it. So we went to the first Walmart and I bought another one, and then I get to the contest and Murphy's scraping out the Jambo with it. I'm like, no, don't mess that thing up. That's my tool. He goes, I thought this was to clean the pit. I'm like, no, this is my spatula. So he had to go scrub
it. So there's a lot to unpack in that little story right there. So Ryan was there with you?
Oh yeah, Ryan Murphy was there with me cooking. He was my sidekick this weekend.
There's nobody better to have clean your pit, probably.
Oh my God, he didn't even go to lunch with us on Friday.
Yeah.
Because I cleaned it. We kind of cleaned it. We washed it out and scraped it, and then we lit a fire in it. And I said, him and me and Brad, and we're going to lunch. And he's like, I'm staying back. I'm like, keep working on the pit. I come back and it's like almost stainless steel inside. I mean, it's so shiny. I'm like, that's not even steel anymore. We got stainless steel now. It's typical Murphy.
Yeah, it's insane. I've watched him do it, and like he's come and looked in my pit, and he's like, "Whoa!" I'm like, "What, man? I just cleaned it." He goes, "That's not clean."
Yeah, and we had the whole thing clean, and the next thing you know, it got round bar grates there, and next thing we're loading them up and taking them to the car wash. He pressure washed all my grates off, both sides, took it back, lit a fire in there, and the next thing you know, I'm in there with my brisket trimming fat, wiping it on the grates, wiping on the inside of the pit, trying to get all shiny. And then by the time we start cooking, I'm like, Jesus, it's a brand new Jambo. And then he goes over, here's the best thing of the whole weekend. Brad pulls in his brand new trailer and he's unloading his drums, and you know how dirty his drums are. He asked Brad he goes, you have a sponge and some detailer? And Brad goes, what is detailer? Murphy wanted to detail the pit out.
There's no way that Brad has any of that.
No, there's no way Brad's ever cleaned anything.
Yeah, that trailer will never be the same.
No, that's why I said I wanted to walk in it first, because it'll never be clean again. It's a beautiful trailer, though.
It seemed pretty neat. Like I like how small it was, yet it had all the conveniences that you needed.
Yeah, it is the perfect one-man trailer. Minus I kept giving him crap about his 20-inch shell. His countertop's only 20 inches.
Yeah.
His cutting boards were hanging off like 6 inches.
I saw that and I'm like, no, come on, this is you had to spec this out a little bit better.
Yeah. So I harassed him all weekend about that. But no, it's a great trailer.
Let's talk about some people in barbecue. Who's impacted your life the most in competition barbecue?
In competition barbecue, I mean, there's 2 guys that that have been that have impacted my life. And the first guy is probably not well known. His name's Don Truckenbro. He's from here in Omaha, Nebraska. And he, when I first got him, it was like my second contest. I was next to him at a contest, and he made it look so effortless. And I just kept going over and harassing him. And next thing you know, we just started talking. And then a couple contests later, it just built. And the guy helped me so much. I mean, just let me taste his food and kind of showed me things. And he's the one that kind of jump started me. And there's a lot of tricks and stuff I do to this day because of him. And he was very successful. I mean, he's got 10, 12 GCs, and I think he's placed top 5 of the Jack twice. And but he was probably the most impactful person. And then of course Darren, I met Darren early on. Darren Worth, I bought his old trailer, so it kind of brought me in, introduced me to him, and then he's been so helpful in the restaurant and in competition barbecue that I can't thank him enough. And between the two of those guys, I wouldn't be where I am without them.
Yeah, it's good to have good mentors, especially when you're first starting out. That's so important, to get out and meet people and not only just ask questions, but also just listen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the one thing, I mean, just Don at the beginning was just letting me taste his food. I think helped a ton, because when he's scoring consistently, you kind of can taste what the tenderness is, and what what the chew feels like, and what if he's using a lot of salt, or how he's finishing it. And there was just a lot of stuff he didn't tell me, but just letting me taste his food early on, because he didn't know me, he didn't know who I was, and he always talked to me at comps. He was really nice, and to this day I still talk to him, and still trying to get him to go out with me on a contest. But he found grandkids, and fishing was a lot more fun than competition barbecue.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Go on a trip to Minnesota for a week and you're like, wow, I didn't really miss a competition this weekend.
Oh, I know. That was the part that I told my wife. I was like, I didn't realize Saturdays were so much fun.
That's one thing that I've learned during quarantine is it's easy to get wrapped up in cooking every weekend and going and having fun, but it's also good to take a step back and see family and do stuff like that too.
Yeah, and not to get off of competition barbecue, but I think, I know it's going to sound crazy, but COVID has actually probably been good for a lot of people in America, because there's been a lot of people that are actually talking to their family now and getting outside. I mean, more people are outdoors, and more people are doing things with their family, which before everybody was in the hustle of work and phones and electronics. And I think it's kind of slowed everybody down, and it's brought a lot of families back together, that were kind of drifting apart. So in some ways it's been good. You never want to say anything that's killed so many people good, but I think it has been good for some families in America.
Right. Absolutely. I would agree. It's been good for me and Kim. We've spent a lot of time together and done some different stuff and just other projects. I mean, we just released a barbecue sauce, shameless plug, but I wouldn't have done that if I didn't have time to sit there and think about it and do it during quarantine. It was a lot.
Yeah.
I think people were going to see a lot of different things come out of that.
Oh, for sure.
One of the coolest things I think about you though is your habits and your rituals and your and superstitions.
There's so many with me.
I know. Let's jump in. Where do we even start?
We start with the song, or the socks, or the shorts, or the shirt, or the.
Let's start with the song.
Yeah. Yeah. This weekend was so bad. I went back to straight 2016. I mean, I broke out the old playlist, Let It Go, started off at 7:00 in the morning. Perfect. And I belted the whole time. And Murphy was extremely happy the whole time I was singing it. And I broke the original 2016 game worn, I don't know, they've been washed, red, white, and blue half whole socks.
Oh,
I had the same shirt I wore for every contest in 2016 on, and I had my Belichick sleeveless sweat hoodie on that I wore in 2016. They all stink very well. I was going to put the shorts on, but ironically, they don't fit.
I was going to make that joke, but I didn't think it was nice.
Yeah.
So yeah. We covered the song, we covered the clothing. Man, there's just a lot of things though. Like, I like putting cans, like beer cans, in Brad's drum. That's like one of my favorite things to do.
You should have told me that last week.
Oh, that's a lucky thing. Like Lucky will put 10 beer cans in that right in the bottom of the can, so Brad has to fish them out the next day.
We were talking this weekend because I think it was 2017, no 18, when Brad won Team of the Year. The first contest of the year was Denver. Our trailers were back to back to each other, and we were just goofing off, typical Brad and I. And he's throwing stuff at me, I'm throwing stuff at him. So I took a whole handful of peanut M&Ms when he was wrapping his pork, and a whole hand. I mean, there had to have been 10 of them flew into one of his butts, and he just wrapped it up and then put it right back on the smoker. He won 80 first place pork that day. So he calls me that week and he goes, "Hey, I didn't know exactly how many M&Ms made it in that wrap because that's my new wrap."
Yeah, what color were they? That's probably more important.
Yeah. So we were talking about this weekend. He goes, "I need to get back to peanut M&Ms in my wrap."
So do you listen to a lot of music when you cook?
Oh, I do, yeah. And the widest variety of music that you've ever heard. I mean, we go from rap to Journey to I mean, it's all over the board. Yeah. Even got a little Biggie in there from my buddy Luke.
That's perfect. That's exactly what we need. I got into a little song battle in North Carolina a few weeks ago. Kim was outside running the drum and she's like, "Can you bring the speaker out here?" And I was like, "Sure." The locals weren't too thrilled.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing this weekend in Georgia.
Yeah. Some of that stuff doesn't play too well.
No, yeah. There was I don't mean to keep telling you stories, but when we were the first time I went to Nashville was in we did the barbecue cup. I was playing some hip hop music, and they kept giving me shit about my music being too loud because it was a family event, and so I kept turning it down, and finally they came over and says, "You can't turn this music up again. We're gonna have to turn your music off or kick you out." I said, "Okay." So I turned the music off, and then later that night we were all going out drinking downtown after I won the contest. And this guy goes, "So what'd you think of the contest?" I said, "Everything was great, but this fucking asshole," this a-hole, this a-hole was being a dick and made me turn my music down." And the guy looked at me and goes, "You know that was me, right?" That was the guy I was riding around with this weekend, because after that, him and I became pretty good friends because it was the greatest story ever. I'm sitting there calling this guy every name under the sun, and he was the guy I was telling it to. It was so terrible. But yeah, this weekend he was too down from me again, and yeah, I don't think they take the Biggie too much down in those parts.
Nope. The Tupac doesn't play well either. I found that out. It didn't. No, it's a negative. So when you have a competition coming up, is your week the same? Do you do everything the same day as you're getting ready? Probably a little harder with the restaurant.
I was about to say, pre-restaurant, yes, man. I had a routine that was, 16, 17, 18. The routine was, chicken on Mondays, and it was the same thing every single. But now they own the restaurant. It's kind of like whatever I can get done on Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'm praying on Thursday I can finish up before I leave for the contest, because you never know at the restaurant how what's gonna come at you. I mean, every day's different, and you try to get as much done early on, that way you're not scrambling at the end. But it seems like I'm always scrambling now,
right?
And it makes it a little harder.
Yeah, it does, and I found that out with my new life. It's with the catering and the teaching, and it's okay. I would love to trim chicken on Tuesday, but if I've got a 30-person dinner, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Especially the one-man show, and so you just have to be adaptable.
The one thing that's good about the restaurant is I've trained my 2 pit masters, and one of my pit masters is an ex-competition guy. So I got them down on picking out pork and ribs. So when we know a contest is coming up, I got those guys sorting and they're pulling, and usually get a pretty good stock that I go through. So it makes it a little easier.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Having access to that kind of spread probably is very helpful.
Huge, and especially since I'm serving Snake River Farms in my restaurant. So, you go through a couple hundred of those a week, and you can usually find one that'll work at a contest.
One or two.
Just if I don't screw it up.
Right. What's missing from competition barbecue these days?
I don't know, man. I just don't think there's that. The old days, I mean, kind of like everyone would just get out and move around and have fun. I just think it's very cliquey these days, and it just seems like people kind of hang to their little groups. And I miss the old days of just everybody talking to everybody. We need more Teddies out there, is what the problem is. Because Teddy is the social butterfly that brings everybody together.
He's an amazing human.
Oh God. And I think that's what's wrong with competition barbecue. We just got to get out and mingle and just realize it's about having fun, man.
One of the things that we started doing on here or this podcast, we came up with the idea of having Kim and Leanne interview teammates and get their perspective on like their pit masters and their idiosyncrasies and stuff. And one of the ones that's coming up soon is Teddy.
Oh God. That'll be the most viewed podcast you have in history.
I can't wait because it's just going to be fascinating. He's just an amazing person.
Better get him early in the morning.
I don't know, man. I kind of think late at night might be pretty good.
Yeah, at the Jack. Late at night, the Jack would be perfect.
Free Teddy.
Yeah, I'm still glad I didn't go on that walk.
I just remembered looking at Facebook that day going, whoa, what happened? Teddy.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Teddy's still there. No good.
Yeah. Yeah, I just remember those two wandering off. They're like, you want to go walking with us? I'm like, I don't know. And then they disappeared. And the next morning, Jeff comes and goes, have you seen Teddy? And right then I'm like, oh, he's in jail. Because I don't know if you know this, but like 30 minutes before that, they almost took me.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah, oh yeah. I was just walking down the street and there was somebody whistle every time the cop come by, and he thought it was me. And I was just walking by this. I was over the international side. And the cop pulls up and started saying, he just gave me the boy. What are you drinking there? And I said, Jack and Coke. He goes, this is a dry county. And I'm like, I thought if it's in a cup, you're fine. He goes, I don't know who told you that. And he had me go over his car, and I started making jokes thinking, I thought he was screwing with me. And I wasn't drunk at all. I only had 3 drinks. And I'm like, and the next thing you know, he's just maybe poured out. He's yelling at me, saying he's going to take me to jail. And I'm like, Jesus. And of course, that's the year that I forgot all my clothes. So I only had a pair of overalls and a high vis shirt that I bought at Tractor Supply. So he could see me from anywhere in the contest. I couldn't even hide from the guy.
And of course, he couldn't have bought anything but a high vis t-shirt.
Yeah. So I forgot all my clothes that year. So Anella saves me and says, I'll take you to town. Takes me to town. We go to Goodwill because I wanted to buy a 3-piece suit because I just thought it would have been great to cook the Jack in a suit the whole weekend. But they didn't have anything in super fat. So our next best option was Tractor Supply. We go to Tractor Supply and I drop trow and I walk out and she's like, oh my God, full bibs and a high vis shirt from Tractor Supply. And that's what I cooked in all weekend.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's classic Blane.
I try and come up with a title for it. So I think I'm going to call this one Story Time with Papa Blane.
Yeah, that's how it is. I just free ball, man. There's no barbecue here.
Just let it go. Let the big dog eat.
Let it go, baby. There's not enough people in barbecue letting it go. That's what's wrong with barbecue.
That's true, man. Like that one contest we cooked in Wisconsin when it was so muddy. And oh my gosh, that was the first time I ever cooked on a Jambo, and I'm walking around in like 4 inches of mud, and then you just come running through the middle, just power slide.
Sherry was goading me the whole weekend too. She knew I'd do it.
Power slide. I'm like, at least somebody's having fun in the mud.
Oh yeah, there's always something. That's it. And usually the best part about it is when I get home from a contest, my wife always says, "What did you do this weekend?" Because there's always a story. She's like, "What did you do this weekend?" And I said, "I was good this weekend." And I said, "Well, there may have been an incident in bread shower."
May have been in a towel on the internet, but
yeah,
it's fine.
No big deal.
Nothing nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, it's a good thing I work for myself.
When you're cooking, do you get gut feelings that are different from what your normal process is, where you're like, man, I might need to take this off now, or how do you relate to feelings like that when it pops up?
Yeah, no, I mean, I do a lot. I mean, by the seat of my pants or by my gut. When I'm cooking, I like to do a lot by feel, touch. I see something, basically if you get too much moisture in the air and you're getting too dark, I'll change things on the fly, including sauces, including seasonings. I mean, it drove Murphy nuts this weekend because I let him pick my pork rub. He goes, "You're really gonna?" I said, "Yeah. Here you go, Murph. Pick one out. I'll put it on there." He goes, "Are you serious?" I said, "Yeah. I don't care."
His head probably wanted to explode.
Oh God! And then him just watching how little I put in the wrap. I mean, it's just things like that. I think people get so caught up in the process and they don't realize if you still got to cook it. You still got to get that tenderness right. And at the end of the day, you have to finish it. I mean, if you don't finish it, like we were saying with the sauces and stuff, you're not gonna score well. But yeah, no, I do a lot of gut instinct cooking. I mean, there's a lot of that. I'm not the notes and process, and I kind of suck at that. I mean, we're still at the restaurant this week, and we're almost 3 months into it, and I still don't have my pastrami recipe written down. They're like, "Could you please write it down?" Because I wing it every time. They're like, "How do you get it the same?" I'm like, "I need to get it written down." I know. That's just me. But I just like to adjust things. I like to tweak. I'm always tweaking.
I can see the consternation on Murphy's face whenever you're like, pick a pork rub.
Oh my God. Pick a pork rub.
I'm surprised he didn't just say no.
Yeah. Well, I mean, nowadays there's so many, the rubs are all the same there ain't that much difference between all of them. If you stay within a flavor profile or as long as you're not so far off the radar that you're picking Chipotle, cinnamon, apple, some craziness.
Yeah,
but they're all pretty close.
Yeah, they're a lot of the same.
Yeah.
What's not the same though is the art of psyching out your competition and psychological warfare during your contest. Is that something you actively engage in?
Oh, absolutely. That's me with the singing of "Let It Go" and just being a total idiot. People are drinking 12 watermelon bombs. They think I'm off my game, but that's just me getting ready to drop the hammer.
It's fun.
But no, I don't. I like to harass people too. I mean, you make them second guess what they're doing. Especially if somebody lets you taste something or look at something, you can always throw something at them.
Make them think about it twice. That's
2 to 3 times.
Yeah, I had to tell people in North Carolina, they were down there and they're like, "Oh, I talked to Brad and he said he had a terrible cook." And I said, "That means you're fucked. Sorry."
Yeah, you're 100% accurate there. There's nobody's ever had a good cooking barbecue.
Right. And if Brad tells you he had a bad one, yeah, you're probably losing.
Yeah.
Well, man, I want to thank you for being on here. Now we're on to my favorite part of the interview. Got some rapid fire fun questions here at the end that I just really can't wait for you to answer.
I probably should have read through these.
And I probably should have told you, like, just scroll to the end and make sure you read the last 6 just so you're prepared. But no, this will be fun either way. The first one's real fun because it's, what do you see about barbecue on social media that upsets or bothers you?
All the negativity, man. Just attacks. It just drives me nuts. I don't know why people think everyone has to agree, and that just drives me nuts. I just wish people would just step back, breathe, and not attack someone for what meat they're using or what process they're doing, or just the overall attacks on social media drive me nuts.
And I agree with you, and you and I have talked about it before. It doesn't even revolve around barbecue, just anything.
It's everything, every single thing on earth, including obviously politics, number one, but just the fact that people can live on this earth and we can have different opinions and be friends and have a conversation and talk through things. You don't have to be so negative and hate, and just drives me nuts.
Yep, absolutely. Do you have a favorite pre, during, or post competition meal?
After competition, I love fried chicken, and I love me a Wendy's. What's their shake? I love Frosty.
Oh, Frosty.
I'm a big Frosty fan after a contest. This weekend I got me an 8-piece from spicy from Popeyes, and it made me happy.
Do you put French fries in your Frosty?
No, but I probably would. I just never eat French fries very often.
Oh, the Wendy's French fry were, while on its own, kind of bland. But if you dip it in the Frosty and you get that sweet, and it's very good.
Oh yeah, my nephew's a big fan of that.
Do you have a favorite present that you like to give to people?
You know what? I don't. I need to get better at that. I don't give a ton of presents. I mean, I had a friend one time give me a pair of underwear that was probably one of the greatest things I've ever gotten barbecue, and I just got a package today from him.
So did I. I'm very
Yeah,
excited about this one too.
I just, they should be giving you royalties, is what they should be doing. 'Cause how many people you got addicted to those things?
It's insane. And then I have another group of friends who are like, "Oh, you have to try these this underwear called Two Under or something." I'm like, "No, I don't." Like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
Like, come on.
I have just, and now the pajama pants are my favorite. They're
Oh,
the best thing I was ever introduced to. My wife got those for Christmas one year.
I need
I
to.
wore
Yeah, I wear them constantly.
I wore my s'mores this weekend.
Did you cook in them?
No, I should. I thought about cooking in them, but I just thought it might get a little weird listening to the music I listen to cooking in s'mores pajamas.
I have a pair of dark blue ones that I cook in now.
Do
Uh,
you?
oh yeah, they're fan. It's because then I can, if I get hot, I can pull up the legs
Yeah,
and they just stay up above my knees, and it's like wearing a pair of shorts. It's fantastic.
it's nice because you got lots of room for activities inside your shorts.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, yeah, those underwear are amazing. Yeah, they should sponsor this podcast as
I
well.
don't know how they don't sponsor. I mean, honestly, dude, I personally know of 5 people that just from me and Eric, and that just kind of branched off from us because we introduced them because of you, not because of anybody else.
They're just great. I send them an email twice a year saying you should let me design a pair of barbecue underwear because they'll
Oh
go like crazy.
yeah,
Put Jambos on it, it'd be amazing.
they they, they should just have a one where you could just print your own. There's got to be a way for them to do it.
It'd be amazing.
Yes.
Get,
Imagine I put your face on my underwear. That'd be my new lucky underwear.
imagine if I had underwear that just had 139 all over it.
Oh, everybody in barbecue had little goats with Darren's head on the goat.
Oh, that would be great. What do you think are the biggest misconceptions about you?
Oh man, I don't know this one.
I don't think there are any, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't. I'm pretty open book, man. Everything's out there. I mean, I tell everybody how I feel. I live life pretty open, so there's not a.
Yeah,
I know there's some people that said they thought I was a little unapproachable, which I don't think is true. I had a guy come up and say that, and I'm like, well, I always want to be approachable.
yeah. Well, but it's also different. It depends on the context. Like,
Yeah,
when I met you, it was 2016. It was the weekend after we had won World Food, and you were in the middle of your Team of the Year run. And I remember you came by on a golf cart. The people next to us were partying, and I just wanted to go to bed. I was like, "Oh my god, I think that's Blane Hunter." Kim was like, "Well, you're gonna go over and talk?" And I was like, "Yeah, no, because he wants to cook just as much as I do, but I want to go to bed." But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like when you're cooking 14 weekends in a row, like it's hard sometimes to be approachable. You're just you're in a zone, and you're in that's what you're there for. And I don't know if I'll ever do that again, cook that many weekends in a row, but it was fun to do once.
yeah, no, I agree. It was fun to do once. I don't know if I could do it again, especially with young kids.
Oh yeah. Oh man, we should tell that story too. What's your favorite barbecue moment ever? We'll see if it's one of mine.
Oh, my favorite barbecue moment, and I say this on every podcast because people always assume it's winning Team of the Year or winning the American Royal
And I
or
never
winning
asked
King of the
this
Smoker.
question. I never asked this question because everybody asks this question, but I think the story you're about to tell, I was there. Is that
You
accurate?
were 100% there because we were in Westmont, Illinois, 48 backyard teams, and my son competed in a rib and chicken contest, and he got second in ribs and second in chicken, and GC'd the contest, and it was hands down the coolest moment in barbecue
It was
for me.
it was amazing, and it was also amazing watching all those guys carry out all their stuff just red ass to hell. I mean,
Yeah. And I don't know if you know this, but there was a guy afterwards that sent me a message on Facebook saying that that I cooked the food for him, and I 100%. You were sitting there. I didn't. He cooked food. I did cut his ribs, and I did help him pull his ribs off because I didn't want him to burn himself. But other than that, he did 100%. Decided the seasoning, the rubs, the injection, and the craziest thing is there's stuff he did in that cook that I do this day. Like I always said, you cannot inject through the top of your rib because it's gonna leach out. It's gonna mess with the integrity, and next thing you know, it's gonna mess up your rub. And he just hammered away at the top of those ribs when he injected them, and it didn't do any of that. And I'm like, Jesus, this whole time I was wrong. I got an 11-year-old kid teaching me how to cook.
I remember
But
when
no, the
he had
funniest thing about that is we were just cleaning out a closet the other day, my wife and I, and we found this box, and it had his handwritten timeline from that contest, and my wife's getting it framed.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
fantastic. I just remember he had us all come in the trailer. It was me, you, and Darren, and he gave us a piece of chicken, and we all ate it, and we're like, you might want to let Gavin cook your chicken tomorrow.
No shit. And I guarantee it was better than my chicken that weekend. And he introduced me to a new sauce I never had on chicken. Because I let him pick the rubs, and people back then were sending me stuff all the time. So I let him just go through it all. And of course, he always gravitates to Joe because he likes Joe more than his own dad, Pierce. So he always puts slaps on everything. But he put Daigle's that garlic pecan barbecue sauce on his chicken.
Right.
And I ran it for like, I don't know, the last 10 comps I've been in because of him.
That's just such a great story, and I'm glad that we got I'm glad I remembered it right then because it's such a great day to see that. And he cooked everything. I mean, it was awesome.
And I actually am trying to, because this weekend we were, I was in Georgia, and across from me was there was a high school team. There were 6 kids there, or 8 kids there. And I went over and talked to them, and it was just fun to, talk to them about barbecue and the passion they have for barbecue and how excited they were for the next day and get ready for the comp. And they actually were in the backyard division, and they won the pork category.
Oh, cool.
Which was really cool. So yesterday I reached out to Nella to see, because they've never cooked any briskets, but I think she's going to send them some briskets for them, the high school kids to cook and practice with and play around with. So it was just fun to see them cooking. And I told my wife today it'd be fun to get Gavin's school together and see if we could get a team and maybe go compete at a couple contests next year.
We need younger people to get involved with this. You look around and you see, and we're still kind of the young guys. And
yeah,
we need that to change. We need some young people to get in there and bring some excitement back.
Yeah, for sure. In all food sports. I mean, not just barbecue. I think you got to get that younger generation in. We need younger generation just cooking, not just barbecue. And because I just worry that the future is going to be everything out of a, processed food out of a microwave, the rate we're going.
Like the Jetsons. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where I feel we're going that way.
This is the one you should have read beforehand.
Oh, God. Boxers or briefs?
If you could have a gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, getting a message out to millions, what would it say and why?
Well, it's ironic you say this because my marketing guy and I just talked about doing one. And my dream billboard, I mean, this is the funniest thing ever. So right outside of Kansas City, I want to put a billboard that says 220 miles north for championship barbecue. So everybody leaves Kansas City on 29. There's a billboard there, and I wanted to say Porky Butts BBQ. And then have me standing with my American Royal robe and crown on.
Great answer.
And that's the message I want everybody to see in Kansas City, that there's real barbecue 200 miles north.
Great answer. Wow. All right, last question. And I'm scared of the answer to this one. What is an unusual habit or an absurd thing that you love?
Oh, man. There's so many inappropriate things I could say here.
Depends on how you want.
One thing I love when people go cook with me new at a contest. And I did it this weekend. I'll load up on the beans, lock the windows, and just let it rip all the way to the contest. Especially when their name is Ryan Murphy. That's a bad habit I have. And it's kind of starting to wear off with my kids now. My son, especially, he's going to be in trouble. And his mom, if she comes in the room right now, is going to be so pissed that I told you this.
Oh, I bet Murphy was just losing it.
Oh my God, he was, and I kept telling him every time I did it, I said I was just testing to make sure he didn't have coronavirus. I was doing him a favor, and he did not appreciate that. You got to have him on right away.
I do. He's on my list of people to get on here, and I think I want this experience fresh in his mind.
Oh, you need them all, because he honestly was like, he was having nightmares. And yes, he does snore, and I have video of it if you ever want to hear the audio.
Oh no, I'm good, man. Snoring is our other teammate Leanne is a freight train. She's just the worst. One night the three of us shared a hotel room in Galax, Virginia, and it was like 1 a.m. and Kim and I are like sitting up in the bed staring at the cot and just throwing anything that we can find, coins. I think I threw a thermopen at her, just like, you have to stop. Like, you need to seek help. This is just bad.
Well, the first night we all stayed together in the one room, and then from that point on, I went and got my own room. I couldn't take it anymore. And Murphy's like, "Did I snore?" I go, "Why would you think that, Murphy?" He goes, "I woke up and you had a pillow on each side of your head with your arms gripped around both of them." Yeah, it was a solid 2.5 hours of sleep that I got.
I gotta have Murphy on next week.
Oh yeah.
All right, man. Well, Blane, tell people where they can find you out there, and if there's any partners or sponsors you'd like to hit, love to hear them.
Yeah, no, Porky Butts BBQ. You can find us at www.porkybuttsbbq.com, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Porky Butts. And then if you're ever in Omaha, we're at just 1 block north of 156 Maple in the northwest corner of Omaha, Nebraska. Sponsors, we got a pretty good partnership, at the restaurant and competition barbecue with Snake River Farms. They've always been taking care of us, and since we teamed up with them at the restaurant, it's one that I don't think I ever shy away from, because they put out a great product.
Absolutely. Well, it's great having you on, buddy, and it'll be good to see you here hopefully pretty soon.
Yeah, for sure. I had a great time. This was it was like storytelling 101.
It's fantastic. It exceeded all expectations. I think everybody will have a good time.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks a lot, man.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast. Be sure to subscribe and like the podcast, rate the podcast, and share it out with all your friends. Also, be sure to check out the Old Virginia Smoke YouTube channel as well. We will have another episode for you next week. For companies interested in advertising, please contact Old Virginia Smoke directly via www.oldvirginiasmoke.com. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is edited by Chris Sedenka. Pitmaster, an Old Virginia Smoke podcast, is a property of Old Virginia Smoke, LLC. All rights reserved. Copyright 2021.
Yes, Old Virginia Smoke. OVS. Old Virginia Smoke. OVS. Old Virginia Smoke. OVS. Old Virginia Smoke. Old Virginia. 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 Old Virginia Smoke. OVS. Old Virginia. Old Virginia Smoke. Old Virginia. Old Virginia Smoke. OVS. OVS.